Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Benu podcast, where we talk with people who are shaping the future in different ways. Today, my guest is Irene Taroni, lecturer, trainer, and facilitator at Hansa University. I had a chance to work with her as my coach and lecturer at the university when I joined the MIG program. She has worked with the different entities and organizations in international setting and has years of experience helping international students build leadership and intercultural skills. Irene grew up between cultures as a third culture kid, and she's passionate about helping people reflect, connect, and lead with empathy. In this episode, we are going to explore what it means to build bridges across cultures, why reflection matters for leadership, and what skills we need for the future. So I'm so happy to have you finally, Renee, in this episode. After I think almost 2 years, we have had lots of discussions around different things. And now maybe it's a good idea you are introducing yourself in a way that you want. I try to share something, but maybe you want to add something as well.
Thank you, Ben, for inviting me to your podcast. It really feels like a privilege. And let me take you on a little trip. I was born in the Ivory Coast, raised in 7 different countries across continents from an Italian father and a Dutch mother. And as you said, that makes me what they call a third culture kid. Now, growing up like that, I learned at young age that communication is about understanding the unspoken, the awkward, and sometimes the lost in translation moments. I also had a sense of non-belonging growing up as third culture kid. Uh, I felt at home everywhere and did not really feel at home anywhere. So questions like, where do you come from? Or what language you speak at home? They would actually bother me because I just did not know how to answer. And so I'm sure so many other people that grew up like this can resonate with what I'm saying, probably you as well, Ben. And so when I started studying intercultural communication, I moved beyond this personal perception of not having an identity and became aware that I'm this puzzle, this mosaic of different subcultures that shape who I am, and that I need to work in an international environment and feel this connection with different ideas and cultures to show the best of myself. Um, so growing up as third culture kid inspired me to build bridges and to build bridges, yes, you need tools and talk about ethics, empathy, and critical thinking. And there are more, of course, but I'll tell you later.
So, meaning that experience affected a lot on your identity, how you, understand yourself, and also sense of belonging. Am I right?
Yes, yes, sure. You're totally right. It had a lot of impact on my identity, on who I am, and I also realize that people have this need to put information in boxes. So when I would talk about my identity, I often felt overwhelmed because it had to do with so many cultures and countries. And then I thought, well, they don't know what to do with this information. So I was already aware of the concept of people making shortcuts in the brain.
And that was kind of trigger for you starting, let's say, your intercultural communication journey, because at least for me, in the beginning, I recognized that you are specifically focusing in that area. I mean, intercultural competency, and even you provided lots of workshops last 2 years. I learned a lot from you. That was kind of trigger for you for engaging with that specific topic.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So this background inspired me to really understand more about human behavior and how to build bridges across cultures. So when I came to Groningen to do a master's in organizational psychology, I also started studying this. And when I started working for the Hansa University, I also started engaging with international students and giving workshops. And this opened a lot of doors for me.
So why it's really important, it's vital for learning more about these kind of skills and let's say, focusing on these competence.
Why it is vital to focus on these competences? Because, well, you really need them for the future to become effective in communication and leadership. So when you're talking about um, the future leaders, they need to embrace a lot of complexity and a lot of change. And these are vital skills to be intercultural sensitive and be emotional intelligent and be critical.
You mentioned tools like, for example, empathy. You already mentioned ethics and critical thinking for building bridges are, let's say, so important. Can you share how you use those in your teaching or facilitation, since you have had lots of experience in that way?
Yeah, I can say that. So I think it's very important that students have the conversations that matter, so that they talk with their heart and truly listen to each other, so that they find the right synergy in their teams. That's very important. And I also think it's very important to get people out of their comfort zone, to encourage a person that struggles, for example, with differences, to have the coffee with the person they would usually not have the coffee with, or do exercises where you need collective intelligence to find a solution together, and become aware that you need more perspectives to see an issue from different angles. And last but not least, I really believe that it's better to dream than to foresee the future. uh, that there is this difference between this predicted and desired future. And what I mean by this is that you often think based on your own assumptions, and you need to be aware of these assumptions because then you become more creative and more resilient when it comes to envisioning different scenarios. And these are skills that future entrepreneurs, also future leaders, communicators really need.
So that's a good point for future leaders. I know you are busy with the, let's say, not just the intercultural competency, also leadership. And recently, I know you engage a lot with the futures literacy as well. For future leaders working across cultures, which one practical habit or daily practice would you recommend they adopt immediately to improve intercultural sensitivity and why?
I feel like in the future, we will have to deal with diversity and intercultural challenges even more than we do right now, by the way. And that future leaders will have to put a lot of effort to support organizations, communities, and really take care of people in difficult times. So, Futures Literacy strongly resonates with my philosophy of that you need to keep moving forward and you need to embrace uncertainties of the future and turn them in these present opportunities. So I find that very important, and you just really need to be adaptable and become a change maker that knows how to navigate complexity, and of course also be on top of technology and technical trends as much as possible.
So maybe it's a good idea also, if it's possible for you for now, describe a simple daily practice you recommend for boosting those kind of stuff you mentioned.
Okay. I can share with you what I do a lot at the Master of International Communication, where I do most of my work at university, is that I help students embrace this journey of self reflection. And what is important is that they become more aware of their own values, beliefs, and behavior. Because if we become more aware of this, you can also understand others on a deeper level. And so what is very important here is also that in order to become intercultural sensitive, you need to do this journey of self reflection, and this is not easy because it is challenging to get out of your comfort zone and really understand differences. And going back to your question about leaders, they really need to communicate with a great variety of internal and external stakeholders in whatever organizations they work for, and work with all these people with diverse backgrounds that hold different values, and facilitate discussions about different topics. So, in order to do so, you constantly need to monitor your own personal and cultural assumptions and biases, and as well the assumptions and biases of the organization. And of course, as you know, communication is a two-way process. So you cannot understand communication if you do not reflect on your own part. And next to that, you also need to be aware of your own leadership style so that you can adapt to different realities, and be the change maker we need in society. And I would like to add, because I'm talking about self reflection here, that it is a very difficult thing to do. Why is it difficult? Because it really requires a lot of courage and a lot of vulnerability. Because it is always easier to point at others or at certain circumstances, instead of looking at yourself, at your own performance, at your own strengths, your own weaknesses. So it takes a lot. It's not an easy job.
That's right. That's right. I can mention and also I can emphasize that one of the best experiences I had during the program, I mean, at MH, was the reflective journalism and whatever you guys asked us for, reflecting on our journey. And as you mentioned, it's too difficult because of lots of things. It helps you to understand yourself better, tracking your journey and the things like that. And it seems few people are, let's say, applying, reflecting in their daily activity.
Thank you for liking the reflective journals. It's nice to hear. And yeah, so looking back, as I said, it is difficult, it is challenging, and I must also say that for some students or for some people, it's more difficult than others. If you come from a culture where the directions and advice are supposed to come from people higher on the hierarchical ladder, it might be even harder to get used to, for example, peer feedback and self assessment. But the good news is that everyone can learn to reflect. So, what I think are important things to do is to be mindful about your own behavior. So, keep a journal and do not be scared of collecting feedback. And errors and mistakes offer opportunities to learn. Don't be afraid of making them. Ask for advice. Listen to feedback. Find new ways, and take it easy on yourself. Right? Oh, it's always one step at a time.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can mention now, I mean, nowadays, I'm kind of addicted to reflecting because, as you know, I'm busy with developing the Futures Hub and some different initiatives and ventures. And I'm working with different people. Every day we have lots of events internally and externally. And I can say, for example, if I have half an hour meeting, then at least half an hour I'm reflecting on the things happening. And I think, as you mentioned, it's really really great because it helps me to understand how to move forward, how to learn. Let's say, I mean. Learning more about my weaknesses, strengths, and things like that. And this is kind of experience I started specifically within the program at MIC, and I can say thank you. And if the new students, even not just at MIC, listening this episode, I think they have to using this experience and maybe even make it as kind of habits. And maybe now it's a good idea you are sharing right now because I know in past few days you were busy with a kind of welcoming days for new students. If you want to share one main piece of advice with them, what it would be?
That's I think kind of what I already said is to not be afraid to make mistakes, to be open for intercultural differences, and be open to others, and be aware of how your past, your upbringing can influence your behavior, and how we are all different in the way we deal with communication styles, feedback, the way we deal with conflicts, and yeah, to as I said, and I'm really sure that in the future we will have even more intercultural challenges, and to embrace that.
Okay, good. It's simple and easy in the beginning, but the point is, since I was busy in MIG program, I saw that it's not as easy as it seems. My question is, when you ask students, for example, to step out of their comfort zone, for example, let's say having coffee with someone they normally avoid, how do you prepare them for potential, let's say, discomfort and ensure the experience is psychologically safe and constructive? Because still when we are talking about something is totally different with when we want to do or apply it.
Yeah. So what I do is I use tools like tests and these reflections I was telling you about, to make them more aware of themselves, and to also make them aware of the fact that we are not all the same. We are different, and to try to really understand somebody and understand behavior, no matter where this behavior comes from. And this is what really takes those skills that have to do with empathy. And it's not like empathy, like being very kind, but actually staying very critical and asking questions and really diving deeper in our conversation. And this really takes a lot of time and investment in relationships. Because, for example, if you're working with somebody that you think, well, this person is very different from me, um, or I find this person a bit strange, then you usually don't want to have lunch with that person. But that is what you should do, and that is getting out of your comfort zone and having the conversation that matters. So I try to really encourage people to step out again of their world, what feels comfortable for them, and do this. And there is a lot of complexity and tension that comes with it. When you have to work with people that have different values, different worldviews, it's very challenging and fascinating at the same time. So to always also remind them about the beauty of this. But this, and also, this is what keeps it fresh, right? What makes
Mm.
the experience so unique.
What uh, surprised you most about the reaction of your students, specifically international students who are newcomer? And most of them may be coming from a totally different culture. What really surprised you and how you cope with those experiences to helping them to learn more about themselves and how to engage or even integrate with this new context?
I think that, yeah, what I really like about my work when working with international students is when you see that the students' eyes grow large and they smile. They have like this aha moment. So the impact you can have on some students when doing your work. So but what surprises me most is how I sometimes do workshops like on conflict styles and how much this can be an eye opener and how a lot of people are just not aware of how their own upbringing or culture influences their behavior. So when it comes to expressing their emotion or actually even holding their emotions back. So this lack of knowledge about who am I, where do I come from, that most people never really think about this. And so when we have these conversations or when we do exercise related to intercultural communication or intercultural sensitivity, that it is so surprising to people.
How you connect these theories with their practical, real challenges they have in your workshops and lectures?
Yeah. So I like to apply a lot of design thinking, but also I should call them um, games to to make sure that the group has this like sense making moment together. So what I think students benefit a lot from is when they do an exercise where, for example, they are not allowed to talk and have to create something together. And it's often very simple exercises, but what is very interesting about them is that afterwards, students are like, "What? How? Why did I not realize that?" For example, yes, I was not allowed to talk, but I did not use my hand gestures, or I did not give signals. That it's so difficult to then be creative when they're put out of their normal context. And yeah, these moments are magical for them because they're like, well, what happened now? And then you see that with collective intelligence, they understand that how dependent they are, for example, on just using some of their senses. And when they lack some of them, they are then so challenged. For example, like they're used to talking, then you take that away. They have to use nonverbal communication, and they get often very stuck. So this is an example of one of the exercises I really like to do when it comes to verbal, nonverbal communication, but also have many that have to do with the leadership and teamwork, building things together. Who is the person then that takes initiative? How how does that happen and why? So, who are the more natural facilitators, or in this case, and who are more the followers that they become aware of that? And of course, these roles are never stuck, but it's good to be aware to then that you can grow or challenge yourself with something new.
Okay, and if you look back at your own journey, what moment shaped you the most?
What moment shaped me the most in my life? I think there were different moments, and but, something that just recently, I experienced as transformative was dealing also with the futures literacy, for example. I was always very scared about thinking about the future. I would avoid the topic, and also things like yoga and mindfulness do not work for me when it comes to, like, slowing down or relaxing. But what I noticed is that when I became aware of this, futures literacy topic, it really did a lot with me. Yeah,
Mhm.
to just to be aware of the fact that you are so stuck with your own assumptions in thinking about possibilities. And there's so much more to that. Just you can really dream more and really make your life more like desirable when looking ahead. You're often your own worst enemy, right? That is what I think.
Is there a book, practice, or idea you often recommend to people who want to grow in, let's say, intercultural leadership and also maybe anything related to futures literacy? What it could be?
To grow in in intercultural communication, I think yeah, this again, to embrace this journey of self-reflection, awareness, and not be afraid of taking risks, I think is very important. To really become aware that in times of AI, skills like empathy, emotional intelligence are so important, and to work on them more than ever.
Let's say if you want to suggest or offer us a question that we should ask every time ourselves more often, what it could be? I mean, that specific question.
I think a good question is to really ask yourself more often, who am I, and where do I come from? What shaped me?
And looking at the future, because you already mentioned about also the futures literacy, what gives you hope about the next generation of leaders? What keeps you motivated to keep building bridges across cultures after all these years and helping them to do better in terms of the unpredictable future stuff?
Yeah, so there's so much complexity going on in the world, and I feel like people have to deal with this with diversity, inclusion, intercultural challenges more and more, and so that's yeah, you just have to make sure you are this change agent and know how to navigate all these differences. I think there's a lot of work to that, and that organizations and companies will really have to invest even more in people that do this kind of work, so that know how to facilitate difficult topics, um, have know how to deal with intercultural differences, and or train people in emotional intelligence. And I see that this generation right now also yeah, actually is aware of this. I have a lot of hope for the future.
Maybe I forgot to ask something which is really important, or maybe you want to emphasize on something as kind of the main point, or even sharing kind of takeaway at the end of this episode. Feel free to share it.
A takeaway from this episode, well, it was really nice to share my experience working in multicultural teams. And yeah, a takeaway is that it is such a wonderful experience, and to really embrace it all the time, because you really grow from it, and it's always an exchange, and to be vulnerable when it comes to yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate all the efforts. I mean, you and also other people at Nick put to help us to, I mean, to do more, do better, and learn more, and preparing for future. I mean, definitely, that was one of the best experiences I've had so far.
But I think it was a good conversation, and I really enjoyed it. I think you have this talent, then, of pushing people to think beyond linear patterns and challenging pe- people. Yeah, that's why you also kind of into this coaching journey yourself, right? Is really also into you.
Thank you, Rene, for sharing your story with us. I mean, from growing up between cultures to, let's say, helping others find their place and their voice. That was fascinating, I mean. And of course, I had a chance to work with you also in my thesis, as you know. I learned a lot from you. What really stands out is how the small moments, let's say a coffee with someone different, kind of an aha moment in a workshop or the things like that can shape big journeys for us.
That's true.
Yeah, for everyone listening, maybe the question to carry with you after today is the one Irene shared already. Who am I? And where do I come from? And maybe even more, how can I use this story to build bridges to others?
Exactly. Well
Yeah,
said.
we are publishing this episode soon on different platforms. It's available Spotify, Apple Podcast, Castbox, and others. Also, we are sharing kind of summary of this episode on our social media channels at Benu Podcast and Benu Community, of course. Feel free to share your comments, your feedbacks. We are also sharing the LinkedIn link of Irene in the caption. If you want, you can approach her on LinkedIn, of course, and share whatever you think could be important about the topics we already talked in this episode. If you don't have anything else to share with us, Irene, we can just finish this episode.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Ben. It was really a pleasure. Thank you. And keep moving forward. Maybe I do have a final word for
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And hope to see you soon. Appreciate.
Thank you.